In this video tutorial, we're going to be using Model Builder, and we're just going to export out an image of our model build. So this tutorial just covers how to do that and how you might want to integrate that with an actual map within ArcMap. So to get started, what we're going to do is just bring in some simple data. In this case, I've made some points. So if I go to Arc Catalog and I have a connection to a folder here, I'm just going to drop in some points. So these are 3 points. And we can open them up and see that we have attribute table of 3 points. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a simple model build producing a buffer of 1 mile based on these points. So of course your model build may have many steps and be much larger, but in this case we're just trying to replicate some model build steps and then export those out as an image. So in this case I'm going to go to model build. And the first thing I want to do is actually put my data in. So I need to go to Insert and Add Data. And I need to point to my folder where I have those points. So there they are. And then I'm going to insert a tool. In this case, I'm going to be using a buffer. So I'm going to go System Toolboxes, Analysis Tools, Overlay, into proximity and do a buffer and say add. Then I'm going to connect the tool to the data. Then I'm going to input the features. Then I'm going to double click on buffer, and in this case I'm going to point it to a folder that I've set up called buffer, and this is just going to be called 1 mile buffer, and say save. And my proximity distance is going to be 1 mile, and I'm going to go ahead and save the defaults. Okay, so it's all set to go. Important to notice, there's no drop shadow for any of the model build at this point, and that just is recognizing the fact that it hasn't run yet. So let's go ahead and run this model. So we go Model, Run. Goes through the model, it runs the steps, and if we want to, we can go over here to Layer, and we can add in our new layer that's been created. So I'm going to go to Buffer and put in that particular feature there, and I'll zoom to Layer just so we can see it. Okay, so I'll make it the fill color no fill, and the outline color I'll just go ahead and make that maybe a blue. So there's my 3 points and my buffers that have been created from this model. Now, if I want to go ahead and export out the model, what I need to do is I can either save it as a model itself and run it later, but if I just want to capture the image so I understand what the steps were in a visual format, I would go to Model. Then in this case, we're going to export it. So we export to Graphic, and we're just going to call it a PNG image. That will be fine. I'm going to put it into my folder, so I need to navigate to my folder in this case. So it's on the desktop in this case, model build. I'm just going to put it here, and I'm going to call it my build. Go ahead and save him and say OK. Close him up. I'm not going to save this particular model. So now I have a map sheet, and if I want to show the model build next to the actual results in visual format, I'm just going to go ahead and make a sheet here. So I would go to Page and Print Setup. It's going to be Landscape, Tabloid, OK. And I'm going to get rid of this border for the actual map features. And say apply. Okay. Now what I can do in my ArcMap session here is I see my features here on the left. On the right hand side I want to have my model. So I go ahead to Insert. I'm going to insert image or a picture. I'm going to go into my folder. I'm going to get my PNG, my build, and say open. And as I do that, it'll just drop that in as an image. And so now we can see that I do have a drop shadow produced. I have my result, my visual result in map format off to the left here, so I'm all set. And I can file, just export this out as a PDF, and we'll take a look at it in PDF format. So here I'm just going to call it build map and say save. And let's go take a look at that. So if I double click on Adobe, I can see that now I have a nice map sheet, and I have on the left hand side I have the actual features that were produced, and on the right hand side I have a visual representation of the model. So hopefully this helps putting together a visual record of your model builds relative to the features that you create from them.